All stand, please be seated.
Yes, well, Constable Hall, I should commence by apologising for my attempt at levity this morning when I said I'm sure you had nothing better to do. I had no idea that you'd been out fighting a fire.
That's okay, Your Honour, no problem.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Reid.
Yes, thank you, Constable. When you speak of terrain in a fire, that's a reference to the vegetation the fire is in? Yes, thank you. So to describe terrain as light would be to refer to light vegetation? Yes. Right. Now, forest fires move through various types of terrain, self-evidently. Yes. Yes. Some types of terrain might be light and they might include patches of grassland. Yes. Others are medium and others are thick. Yes. You're happy with those three grades? I'm happy with those. Thank you. Now, whether or not the terrain is light, medium or thick will depend upon the surface fuel, the near surface fuel, elevated fuel and the bark. Is that? Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, and the type of forest? Yes, I think so. Yes. So well, we better revisit each of those terms. The surface fuel is the fuel that lies on the surface. Yes. And if it's heavy, it's where do we get our light, medium and heavy in terms of surface fuel? Leaf litter, barks, grasses, ferns, small shrubs. I think that covers it. Right. But whether you're going to describe it as light, medium or thick? Well, it'll depend on, I suppose, how long since it's been burned or cleared, how thick the low-level fuels are. The depth of the surface fuel. Yes. Yes. I think your previous answer might have rolled up surface fuels and near surface fuels and elevated fuels together. Yep. So if I can just unroll them for a second. That's fine. Surface fuel is that which lies on the surface. Near surface fuel is what? Low vegetation. Right. And elevated fuel will be shrubs and the like. Yes. And then, of course, bark is the bark on the tree. Now, thank you. Now, a fire, to be described as burning quite well in thick terrain, would have a flame height of at least 5 metres, wouldn't it? Could do, yes. Well, it'd be likely to, wouldn't it? I'd imagine so, yes. Yes, thank you. Right. Now, your evidence is that you could see from, as I'm understanding it, you're driving along the track which leads in a rough northwesterly direction from Winstanley's property. Yes. Thank you. And you could see smoke in the gully. Yes. So it was at that stage that you radioed, or when you got to the gully? When we got to where the fire was. Right. Where the fire was across the track. Yep. Which was that photo, I think, that I provided last week. Yes, thank you. Now, you were looking north. Yes. And the wind was blowing from the west, so you were looking across the direction of fire travel. Yes, correct. So the fire across the track would have been the flank or the edge of the fire. Right. And there was a little knob up to your left, that's on the west side. It rose to the left into a little knob or knoll. Yes. Thank you. So, because you were in the gully with that knob or knoll, the gully was sheltered from the wind. Yes, to an extent. Yes. Thank you. Now, the fire that you saw, was that fire heading downhill? From memory, it was fairly flat. Right. And I perhaps need to be a bit fairer with that question in the sense that you've already referred to the flank that you were looking at. Yes. So the front of the fire, from memory, fairly flat, and the flank, from memory, fairly flat? Yes. Thank you. How wide was the fire? I'm not sure because it was across the track, but from the flame height and small amount of smoke and the way it was travelling, I didn't think that it was very big from when I first drove across it. So it was a little bit hard to tell in size.
Yes.
You just said from when I first drove across it, you didn't drive across it. I drove upon it. Upon it, thank you. Yes, I may have misheard you, but I didn't want there to be any misunderstanding. Now, as to the fuel available for that fire, did you look at the litter on the ground? No, not really. I don't think I got out of my vehicle, to be honest. Right. Okay. Do you recall that the scrub consisted of grasses, bracken and shrubs? Yes, from memory I think there was a lot of small wattle trees in that area and there was quite a bit of bracken, but I can't recall the depth of fuel on the surface. On the surface, yeah, I don't recall. Yeah, as to the fuel above the surface though, that is the bracken and shrubs, they're up to about head height, about the top of your vehicle? Yes, I think that's reasonable, yes. Thank you. Now this one might sound a bit silly to you, Mr. Hall, but I need to ask, when you use the term wind blowing in a westerly direction, does that mean to you that the wind is coming from the west or from the east? When I say it's blowing in a westerly direction? Yes. Yeah, it would normally mean to me that it is blowing towards the west. Right, okay. And if you were to describe a fire as travelling pretty quick, how far would you expect that fire to go, say, in an hour? I want to get a feel for what you mean by travelling pretty quick. That's a good question. I suppose really it depends on what sort of terrain and vegetation you're in, but have I referred to that fire as travelling pretty quick? Yes. In the fire comms, and this could be, I'm sorry, I withdraw that. I'll have to find that reference for you, Mr. Hall. I'm just trying to think when trying to recall when I said that. Yes. Look, I withdraw the question because I can't get the reference to it immediately. Now, as to, can we have Mr. Hall's, I think it's AH3 up, please. It's the last screenshot. No, it must be AH2 then. Yes, you'll see the A with the cross and the B with the circle. They're two spot fires, and it's to those that I want to turn. As to spot A, was that fire heading downhill? No, not from my memory. Can you remember uphill, downhill or flat? Well, I remember the smoke was blowing towards the east, so from that I would suggest that the fire was burning in an easterly direction, which in that area I think would have been uphill. Right. How wide and how long was that spot? Can you help with that? Not really. What type of fuel was it burning in? Too far away to tell, but it looked as though it was similar to where the black cross is on the map, so ferns, wattles, some eucalypt bush area. The spots that I think you've described, multiple spots at B in that circle area, the same questions for you as to uphill, downhill, width, length and type of fuel. I recall it being uphill, and the reason I say that is because I remember looking across and towards Mother Brown's bonnet is uphill from the gully below Mr. Winstanley's property. In relation to the vegetation, again, I can't really say, but I think it was similar to the previous. Right, now, Mr. Hall, we've got some Firecom recordings that we're going to play to you, and I'd like you, please, to try and identify who the speakers are, or more particularly, when you speak.
Okay.
So I'll get Mr. Terenius to, sorry, not Mr. Terenius, I'm sorry, now I am getting tired.
Tempone.
Mr. Tempone, thank you very much. Sorry, Mr. Tempone. To bring those up, there are 2 files.
Dodgers Ferry 1, Ollie, Terenius over. Yeah, g'day Ollie, I don't know whether you caught my last fire. I'm on with Gav, we're off Gainesvilles Road at the fire front. It's moving pretty well. Units can come in off Gainesvilles Road. There's a really good formed road into a couple of houses in here. Problem's going to be, we're not going to be able to stop it. It's spotting well, it's travelling fast, and it's just going to go straight over it.
Just stop there for a second. Thank you. That's you?
Correct.
And you were speaking with Mr. Terenius?
Oliver Terenius.
Yes, thank you. Yes, continue.
Right over it. Roger, Ed, what about properties under risk further down, over? Well, we've came in round Graham Winstanley's house. He's got a big house in here. That's not under threat. That's up there after, yeah. Oh, just hang on.
Just stop there for a moment. Someone in the background says up their arse or up our arse or something of that sort. Do you recall that?
No, I don't, but I know who said it.
Yeah. Do you know what it's a reference to?
Can you play it again, please?
Roger, Ed, what about properties under risk further down, over? Well, we've came in round Graham Winstanley's house. He's got a big house in here. That's not under threat. That's up there after, yeah. Oh, just hang on.
I don't recall that.
So you can't assist.
I know who said it, but I can't recall what it was in relation to.
We better not name Mr. Rainbird on the YouTube then.
I didn't say who it was.
Yes, okay, thank you. Continue.
Yeah, sorry. Graham's house is in a cleared paddock, so probably one unit to put a bit of grass out here would be all right, but we're going to go further down to the next houses, over.
Just stop there for a minute. We're going to go further down to the next houses. Where are they?
That's a good question. I don't know where we went. The next houses down would have been further down on Gainesvilles Road back towards the Arthur Highway. I don't recall which houses we went to, but if I said down, it would have been further east.
Right, and that was you speaking?
It was,
yes,
but I can't remember.
No, that's fine, thank you. Continue.
Yeah, Roger, if you just wait out for a few minutes, I'm just liaising with Skill. I'll get back hold of you soon, huh? Yeah, Roger that. Can you move 3-1 to Ollie? Roger, wait out, please. Fire crime, this is Rindaston Road Control, over.
Thank you. And the other one, please. Just before we go to that, sorry. I'm sorry. I just need to, the last exchange, but one I think on that was you speaking with Mr. Terenius, and Mr. Terenius said he's just talking to Skell, and that's a reference to Mr. Skelly.
Andrew Skelly, yes,
Andrew
correct.
Skelly, thanks. Yes, thank you.
Firecom, Dodgers Ferry 1, over.
Dodgers Ferry 1, send over.
Yeah, Roger, I don't know whether you can pass on to East Coast 1. We're at the end of Gainesvilles Road. Fire's going well and spotting quite far in here. I'd like another couple of units for asset protection, please.
Can we stop there, please? Now, is that you?
It is correct.
Yes, and can you assist with that, a couple more vehicles for asset protection?
Yes, I think that was when I was requesting further resources to come and stage at Graham Winstanley's property to protect his house.
I see. Thank you. Continue.
Roger, received. East Coast 1, this is Falcon Mother.
Yeah, Roger Lee. Can you, I'm with Ollie and Dodgers Ferry at the moment off White Hills Road. You'll have to get hold of Dobbo. and we'll check with the RFOC and the IMT at Cambridge and let them know we need more units for structure protection. Angel.
Roger, just for information, East Coast 2 has also finished up with Rindaston Road. He's got a couple of trucks available. Over.
Yeah, Roger, it'll take them about an hour to get down to Cambridge, so just tell them to head to Cambridge and let them know when they get closer.
Roger, thanks. At this stage, I'll go to Dobbo. I'll come out.
Ollie Trenius, Dodgers Ferry 1. Yeah, it's guys. Yeah, mate, I know you're probably pretty pressed around your end, and I know they're talking about turning out other crews, but if we can get a unit, at least one, from your end round to where we are, the fire's moving pretty quick here, and we're going to need some structural protection at a couple of houses in the very short future.
Just wait there. That's you?
Correct.
Now, can you help us with a couple of houses? It's probably the same question I've asked before, but does that assist you?
Well, I think by the sounds of that, I'm probably still at Graham Winstanley's property, so I'd be referring to his property, and then the next house towards the east, which is located southeast of Graham Winstanley's property down Gangels Road.
Thank you. Continue, please.
Mate, I've got running meet 3-1 just about here. I think I'll turn them around over. Yeah, Roger, look, I know you've been talking to Firecom too about putting warnings out. The way this fire's travelling down in here at the moment, it'll be probably heading over the Red Hill, I estimate, in about 3/4 of an hour. So we're not going to be able to stop it here. I don't know whether you want to put the warning out for Copping and Kellerby.
Stop there, please. It'll be heading over, did you say Red Hill?
Red Hill.
Red Hill, which is Mother Brown's Bonnet?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Known by all the locals as Red Hill.
Yes. Yeah. Because of the way the sun sets on it.
Well, I don't know. I've just always known it as the Red Hill and didn't actually know it had another name until the start of this. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, Roger, mate. I'll gauge the skill. It's probably not a bad idea. I'll try and get running meet 3-1 together out here with ASAP. Yeah, Roger, if they come off Gainesville's Road and just keep following the main big formed road, gravel road, all the way in, that'll lead all the way into Winstanley's house. Roger, mate. Winstanley, you can access his property off the highway, can't you? Yeah, Roger. Roger, we're just trying to work things out at the moment. I'll get back to you shortly, but I'll get running meet around to you. Yeah, thanks, mate. If you can, I'll try not to bother you too much. You're right, mate. Look, all the action's at your end at the moment, so the more info you can get us, the better. Roger. 7 Mile Beach 4-1, Dolly Tronius. 7 Mile Beach. We're heading up White Hills Road over here. Whereabouts do you want us? Roger, mate. If you can come in at number 245 White Hills Road, you should be able to find us in here. We've got Midway Point working on a driveway edge. If you can help them over. Roger. Running meet 3-1. Ollie Trenius over. Copy that, mate. We're heading back out on the highway. We're in the driveway at 244. There's a fair bit of activity in there. You sure it's 245, mate? Roger, Ruddy, mate. It is actually 244. I'm going to actually redirect you to Anala Road, and if you can liaise with Adam Hall, Dodgers Ferry 1, and Gavin Rainberg, please. Just heading down White Hills Road now. Gangels Road, that's down towards the Carlton River, crosses down there just south of Primrose Terminal, is that correct? Roger, if you head past the entrance to Terenius Timber, about 200 metres, it's on your left-hand side on the sharp bend, over.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Timpano, can you expose the metadata in relation to those? So the first of them appears to be 3 p.m. on the 3rd of January. I don't suppose you know the exact time, but you're content that that's probably correct?
Yeah, I'm happy from reviewing the call log that I was at Gangels Road, I think at about 10 to 3 in the afternoon, or a bit before 3, so I think I agree with that.
Yeah, thank you. And the second one is at 3:03. Again, you're content?
I'm happy with that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Now, only one other matter, Mr. Hall. Do you agree that one of the main reasons for communicating with Firecom is to attempt to ensure effective control of the fire?
Yes.
In fact, it's probably the reason, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. And you agree with this, that a fire front is likely to require greater firefighting resources than a spot fire?
Ask that again, please.
A fire front is likely to require greater firefighting resources than a spot fire?
I agree, yes.
Yes. And you agree that it's important to communicate accurately with Firecom?
Yes.
Now, I put it to you that there is a clear difference between the terms fire front and spot fire.
Yes.
If it please.
Yes, thanks. Just before I invite Mr Armstrong to re-examine, that last voice that said, yes, just about 200 metres past Terenius timber on a sharp bend, who was that?
Oliver Terenius. Firefighter Oliver Terenius from Dodgers Ferry.
Who was saying that the entrance, that Gangels Road was just about 200 metres past Terenius timber.
I actually thought from that recording that they were talking about two different roads. So I think Oliver Terenius is describing the entrance to Anala Road, but the other voice was Brigade Chief Ricky Birch from Runnymede, and he was referring to Gangels Road.
Right.
And he actually came to Gangels Road while I was still there.
Yeah.
So I think Oliver's directing him to Anala Road, but he came to Gangels Road.
Yeah, I've got it, because Gangels Road is not 200
That's a lot further down. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Yes, I tend to those documents, Your Honour.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honour. Just on that last issue that Mr Reid raised with you, Mr Hall, the distinction between a fire front and a fire flank. Could you tell His Honour, is it the Tasmanian Fire Service practice to put crews in front of a running fire?
No.
When you have a running fire, can you tell His Honour where fire service practice would tend to place the crews?
Where we were likely to protect property or lives.
Okay, and when you have a spot fire, Constable Hall, what's the potential in the scenario that you've described around Gangels Road for that spot fire to develop into a fresh, major spreading fire?
I'm happy that that's what happened on Gangels Road on that day. It started as a spot fire. It was a hot day and it was extremely dry, and it escalated quickly.
All right, thank you. Now, could Mr Temponi please bring back up on screen AH2? And I just want to clarify with you, by reference to this map, please, Constable, in which direction the wind was blowing. Earlier today you said it was a westerly wind, and you just said in response to Mr Reid's questions that a westerly wind, to your mind, would be a wind blowing toward the west. Now, could we use left and right rather than east and west? Looking at this map, would you agree with me that it's effectively aligned north-south?
Yes, correct.
All right. Now, using the language of left and right, the wind as it blew across the black dot, was it moving from left to right or right to left?
Left to right.
Thank you. And nothing further. Thank you, Constable.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Constable Hall, for coming back in. At least you can go and get some sleep now. I realise, of course, what the fire was. It was a great tragedy. Thank you.
It's okay. Thanks very much.
Now, Mr Reid, that leaves you waiting for a proof from Dr. Marston Stanley.
It's Medley, yes.
Medley.
Yes, it does.
Which hopefully we'll have to Mr. Reid over the course of the weekend.
Yes, Your Honour.
Or tomorrow.
Well, yes, tomorrow would be ideal, Your Honour. I don't want to be in a position where I'm going to be needing more time on Monday morning.
Will you discount working on the weekend?
No, not at all. But if I get it Sunday night,
Oh, yes, I see. Now, well, I'm sure
yes.
that won't happen. If it does, I'll have to give you more time.
Yes.
All right. I understand, Mr. Armstrong, and
Needless to say, Your Honour,
we'll do things as quickly as possible.
we will, Your Honour, yes.
All right, thank you. Well, I will adjourn as soon as I save my notes. And I'm not sure whether council know. It dawned on me during the course of this session that fire was at Fawcett last night, tragic
yes.
house fire.
Yes, apparently.
All right, thank you, and I'll adjourn.
Oh, stand please.
Oh, I should say until 10 o'clock on Monday morning.
Thank you.
Honourable Court now stands adjourned until 10 a.m. Monday.